Well, here we go. Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience,
Experience sports like you never have before.
where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam! I got my lines right without reading it.
Right?
First episode, I just want to note it only took 7 of them for me to figure that out. So, what a week. Everything good for you?
Yeah. It's been it's a weird week. I mean, there's been some movement in free agency, but other than that, there hasn't been like the big major splashes.
Yeah, no crazy, nothing. I mean, a lot of the big names went off the board quick, and now we're just seeing some peck off one-year deals here and there for guys.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on. The one big thing that really happened was Brandon Cooks getting traded to the Cowboys, and of course Zeke getting cut.
And Zeke gets cut, and then the Elijah Moore deal might play good for the Browns. The Browns have done a really good job about getting receivers for pretty reasonable value. I mean, a second-round pick for a third and more, that's not bad. And if you're the Jets, you're probably coupling that pick as part of what you use to get.
You're going to use to get Rodgers, because they probably used more in that trade, and Green Bay was like, we don't want him. So that's more than likely why they ended up trading him off, so that they could just go, you know what, here, we'll give you a second-round pick instead.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want him. I think he's a good player.
He is, but I think he might be the same exact player as Romeo Dobbs.
Man, that makes sense.
If you've already got that one player, you probably don't want to give up that kind of draft capital to get the same guy.
Makes sense. I mean, if you're the Packers, I guess really you're looking
or
for a
not
slot.
Give up draft capital, but
But you're looking, I guess, more of like a slot kind of receiver at this point. I mean, you've got Watson and Dobbs that can work the outside for you. When healthy, they both look pretty good throughout the year.
I would put Dobbs at slot, and I would find either an X or maybe Watson plays at X, so maybe find your Z. But I think Dobbs should play in the slot. If he doesn't, that's fine. But you still are looking for a receiver for them.
Yeah.
Someone that kind of came to mind was, with the same team in that trade, Corey Davis is expendable too. Like, they brought in a bunch of people, and Corey Davis just really hasn't lived up to much. He had one good season with the Titans, and then he got money to go there with the Jets, and really hasn't lived up to much.
I mean, honestly, you'd probably get him. If you're the Packers, you'd probably get him to fill the role of Lazard, who the Jets took from you anyway. So that would be kind of that big body, supposed to be a physical guy. So that should play good. What do you mean, clicking a pin? My wife's going to yell at me if she listens.
Oh.
One of our pet peeves when one of us pin clicks while we're broadcasting.
While we're on this, let's go ahead and talk about Zeke got cut. He's a June 1st cut, so he's not going to be. You're not going to see him going anywhere yet. It's going to be after the draft that you finally see him move. But you also have trade candidates like Austin Eckler, who is not he's happy with the Chargers, but he's not happy with the situation that he's not getting paid enough.
Yeah, he came out the other day and was like, $6.25 million is just not enough for what I bring. He said, you basically have chalked me in for 16 touchdowns, which he has. The last couple seasons you can get that. I don't like him as much as a runner.
Yeah, he's not a runner.
He's a good receiver of the ball out of the backfield. He is a strong guy, from the goal line. He does have that muscular, strong frame for being as little as he is stature-wise. But I would say he's still 28 now.
I think so.
And he's had banged up stuff. He might not be missing games, but he's one of those guys that if you have a fantasy team, you're always like, why is Eckler questionable this week? He's always got that. Yeah. It didn't keep him out of the game, but it hampered him.
And if the Chargers do end up trading him, it'll be after the draft. They won't be doing it before, they could do it during. I don't think they would, but more than likely it would be after with the team that didn't end up getting the running back that they were hoping that they would land.
Yeah,
and
we're
in
still
my opinion,
seeing.
I say that because I think the Chargers are going to end up taking Bijan with what's going on with this situation with that. So that's the only reason why I say that.
If that's a team that I could see making sense to do that, a team that's got a lot of their pieces they feel in a competitive placement, so use the draft capital on a running back. And if you think he can take you to the next level, or he can be what you had because you're going to probably get a better runner of the ball. And that is one thing that you might knock on the Chargers offense is that they don't run the ball great.
Right.
As good as their passing game is, you'd think they would have a better running game than they do because you have to feed it.
And they've tried to address it with guys in later rounds to be able to take away what Eckler's not giving them on the ground, and none of them have really just done anything. Spiller and Larry Roundtree, like they're just kind of guys.
I was gonna say Spiller isn't even that body back anyway. He seems like a smaller guy, in my opinion. Like he's more of a scat kite anyway, so he's kind of like a smaller Eckler to me anyway. So
basically the other it was Isaiah Spiller. Yeah, that's right. And the other one though is DeAndre Hopkins. So that one's steaming up. Apparently there's some teams that are looking to trade for him. The three teams that I keep hearing is New England, Kansas City, and Buffalo.
I was gonna say, if you'd have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said there's no way, like I actually said, there's no way Kansas City makes that deal. Kansas City's proven that they can win with just good to okay receivers. Like they just proved that.
Yeah.
But then Hardman goes to the Jets, Juju goes to New England, and those are two guys that you were counting on target share from. Like those were guys that were in your offense. Hardman was you've got two other burners in the building in Moore and Kadarius Toney, but he was supposed to be and Ben Valdez-Scantling. And so I still don't know that they make a move for a guy like him. I don't think so because there is money on other spots on that team.
But if you look at it, like I don't think they're going to have to give up first. They'll end up having to give up at least or at most a second rounder. I don't even think it's going to be a second round. I think it'll end up being like a third.
Well, the other thing with him is that he's the main reason why he's being shopped is because one of the things he's complaining about is he wants a contract, and the Cardinals already said we're not going to give it to you. Like you're playing under the 2-year deal. Do the Chiefs have the money, or would they use the money that they have to invest in him on that front? Because I just don't see that being logical.
Say this: there is no such thing.
Yeah,
as a cap.
I get there's no such thing as a cap, but there's such
always
thing
ways
as
to work around it.
But there is such thing as putting your money into the wrong guy. And so if you give him $14 million a year and add 2 years onto his deal, that's money that's coming out of insert young player who might need to get paid when his contract comes up.
Okay.
Kadarius Toney, for example, is going into his third year now, right?
Are you really going to pay him?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We haven't seen what he's going to do healthy with Patrick Mahomes. Next year could be the year that changes everything for him.
He's never been healthy.
Oh, that's true, but he's also been with the Giants where he didn't want to be.
He wasn't healthy there either.
Exactly. I don't know.
He hasn't had a healthy season. He's only been in the league 3 years now. But he's never been healthy. Yeah. That's the knock on him. And if you want to invest in him, that's fine. But you have to worry about the fact that he's probably going to miss 30 to 40% of the games.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be hurt. He's constantly with hamstring injuries. Constant.
I guess with their offense, it just feels like they go for the burners. Like burner, quick, we want fast guys, in-space guys. Like that's what they did with guys like Tyreek Hill and all that. A lot of their guys they have in that role now, excluding Juju last year, most of the guys that are still on the roster right now are those kind of guys. And so I guess Hopkins fills Juju's role as the possession guy.
That's what I would say. Like you can't just have burners. Because the defense, they tried that before, and the defense just sat back and was like, "All right, beat us short." Because if you can't beat us short, you're not going to beat us deep now. They already done that. So, Kansas City already knows you can't just have burners. You have to have an X receiver or someone like Juju who was really good in the slot. He was a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Now, D-Hop is going to be an outside X receiver. That's what he's going to be. So you're going to have to move Kadarius Toney, Valdez-Scantling as your slot and your Z on your other side. So and then penciling in Sky Moore every once in a while if he ends up even being anything.
Yeah.
But with what you were saying with the money wise, like Kansas City's already proven like they will get rid of defensive players. Don't care, they'll get rid of them. They've got a history of it. They got rid of Justin Houston. They got rid of D Ford. This year, they already cut Frank Clark. I wouldn't put it past them that in a couple of years they end up letting Chris Jones walk. Like they have that thing about them where they're like, we'll just find somebody in the draft, or we'll get some people. Like we find these guys, and then the offense is kind of the same way.
They've literally said on offense they can just build around Patrick and help.
Like they're really trying to build that offensive lineup now. You got rid of, or you didn't get rid of, but you didn't bring Orlando Brown back, which
doesn't make any sense. That's
the contract that he took. Weird.
The fact of the matter
really
is, but he was offered more by the Chiefs last year, significantly more. Would have been the highest paid left tackle in the entirety of football history. Turns it down because I guess he thought he wanted to be the highest player. I don't get the logic there. Only to take a guy that was an average player at one position that they're going to move to another side. Like I don't. And
with Jawan Taylor?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And then the Bengals turn around and go, hey, we know we need to fix our line because Joe Burrow needs to win us games. And what do? They go out and they get Brown for half the price.
And then on top of that, now Jonah Williams has requested a trade because he doesn't want to play right tackle. They brought in Orlando Brown to be the left tackle. He was their left tackle. Yeah. He doesn't want to play right, so he's already requested a trade. So I mean, would it be shocking if Kansas City traded for Jonah Williams? And then it was like, hey, Jawan Taylor, you're going to play right tackle now.
Yeah, unless you sign Jawan Taylor saying that, sorry guys, my contacts are drying out, I got to put my blue lights on. Unless you sign Jawan Taylor under the thought that, hey, you're going to be our left tackle. I mean, then you're breaking your promise to the guy that you just signed. Now you're opening a whole new can of worms. So
yeah, that is true.
It could get interesting. I mean, you still got some pretty decent guys out there on the market. I mean, just a few names that I saw from glancing was Ndakwe. I mean, he's not going to be a 5-star guy, but he can be a relief pass rushing guy, someone that can come in and he's not good in the run. My understanding is, but he'll go after the quarterback. He can get you 5-6 sacks. There's teams that need pass rushing help that bad that you could get a 28-year-old defensive end for not too bad. Then you've got Chark still on the board. That would be another guy that if they don't make that trade, DJ Chark could be a guy that could slide into the Chiefs offense. I've seen his name there. And he's still also linked to go back to the Lions too.
Yeah, that's very true.
Which I'm surprised honestly that hasn't happened yet.
OBJ is out there. He could go to Kansas City.
Did you hear the report that he wants $20 million though?
I think he denied that.
Did he? I didn't see that because I'm going to say he's not going to get signed if he wants $20 million. Like he just needs to know that. There's some defensive players there too. Rocky Yashin, a decent corner, someone that can come in and offer team help. Taylor Rapp is a guy that I was surprised to see hasn't gotten signed.
He denied it.
He did deny it? Yeah. Taylor Rapp's a guy I'm surprised hasn't gotten signed yet. I mean, I know there's some health concerns there, right? Isn't that one of the issues that he had with the Rams? It seemed like anytime I was watching a Rams game, you heard his name a lot. Like he was a guy he's around the field. Like he's around the ball. So if he hasn't signed this late into free agency, now that you're a week and a half, 2 weeks in.
And he could be like going and visiting multiple people.
Which is
there could be several teams looking at it.
If you're a team that needs back end help, like a team like the Bills, that'd be a great fit. Because like Poyer is a stud for them, but Poyer's a guy you know is going to miss 2 or 3 games. And they've had some injuries on their secondary. That was part of the problem with the Bills last year, is they lost safeties.
Well, they didn't have Tre'Davious White for
Micah Hyde got hurt, and that was they lost secondary players like crazy. And so maybe adding an injury-prone one wouldn't be the best approach, one with a proven injury history. But if you add good football players, at least you're adding quality depth if other players are getting hurt. So I mean, I don't know if that's a team guy they're looking at, but I would not want that as a Dolphin fan. Want Taylor Rapp in my division. Just saying. I mean, I would if Dallas doesn't bring back Donovan Wilson, he'd been a kind of a guy to have in that spot there.
And Dallas also brought back Dante Fowler, Tack McKinley, Terrence Steele. They did a lot of.
They did get Terrence Steele back. What was his deal?
Well, he was a restricted free agent.
Oh, so he just signed his tenure.
Yeah.
And then
and I forgot. Yeah, they traded for Stephon Gilmore. Like. Was that last week?
That was last week. Yeah, that was
never mind.
That was
never mind.
But I mean,
that was still a good one.
I'll say the Cowboys have made some very good
and they brought in Ronald Jones.
That was another one.
So Rojo is going to be Zeke's replacement.
Which he's a stronger Pollard. He's going to be stronger than what you have in Pollard. I don't know that he's your guaranteed all the touches that Zeke got. I still would be shocked if Dallas drafts the guy.
It's going to be 100% I would say
Tony Pollard's about to get the same
70-30
that Travis Etienne gets for the Jaguars.
Probably.
Yeah, he's about to be
where it is right now. I would say 70-30 Pollard, depending on who the Cowboys draft in the draft. That could change. Like Charbonnet in the second round. If they decide to go with Gibbs in the first round, if Bijan somehow falls to them, There are different types of situations.
If Bijan falls to them, that's that Jerry Jones. Hey guys, I want to make this pick, and that's when everyone's got to come back.
Also, if let me look at this real quick. If Bijan falls to at least 22, at a minimum 22, I would say the Cowboys would trade up for him.
Okay.
Because he's a generational type player. But the NFL just doesn't value the running back anymore.
Exactly.
So
and we've seen that with some of the names on the market getting okay deals. They're getting contract. David Montgomery is a name among NFL teams, and if you look at what he got from the Lions, it was okay money. It was good contract, but he didn't break their salary cap like we've seen some of these other running backs have done.
Yeah.
And so that'll play. We did say last week that Slay was on his way out.
Yeah,
we were going to fix that. Darius Slay is not on his way out because an hour after we recorded and posted, he fixed things and is staying with the Eagles now. But because of that, the Lions end up getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So it sounds like there was money, probably a discussion to get Johnson back.
That's what it was, yeah.
And then they were like, wait, let's keep Slay.
It was once Johnson decided he wasn't going to play there is whenever they were able to work things out with Slade.
Yeah, which 1 year, $8 million for Gardner Johnson was a steal for the Lions.
Oh yeah,
I think that's a steal.
Yeah.
That's a guy. You as the Lions, your problem was your pass rush was better, but you had nothing that played the ball in the air except the other team's receivers.
They actually made a splash here in free agency because they brought in Cameron Sutton. We talked about it last week. They brought in Cameron Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley.
Yeah.
And then they brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which
now that we're
secondary,
as we're sitting here looking at that Taylor Rapp to the Lions, I wouldn't hate it.
No, they don't have the space for that.
They don't have the depth.
You could go depth. But
because Gardner Johnson's going to be able to play at multiple levels.
They have Kirby Joseph that they drafted last year, and then Tracy Walker's are starting free safety. Okay. So they've got several good safeties. Plus they brought in Emmanuel Mosley, which is a nickel corner.
Okay,
so they've got the positions kind of.
They're working it. They're definitely making the moves, which is why when I go to Shreveport in a few months, my parlay bet of Jaguars versus Lions in the Super Bowl. I already told my wife I was putting. I told her a little bit, probably about $50, even though she listens to the show. So we're gonna have some fun with it. With that, throughout the night, we were also gonna throw in our favorite teams, our favorite movies for the sports.
Yeah,
that was Chris's question of the week he threw out to us. While we're on the sport of football, would you like to go first with your favorite football movie?
I will go first, and I'm going to show my age here, being 37 years old. My favorite football movie is a movie that I saw when I was, I don't even remember, maybe 10, 11 years old when I first saw it. It's The Program. Like it's always been one of my favorite movies. That's a college football movie.
No, I don't know if I've seen that one. I'm gonna have to actually watch this movie.
James Conn, he's a head coach of a college football team. Yeah, dude, it's
I can't say. I mean,
you got a linebacker that's or a defensive lineman that's just like all roided out. So he's going through his stuff. Alvin Mack is this generational linebacker that's going to go pro. Then you have the running back who always fumbles, so he's got to carry the football all through the school and make sure he doesn't
maybe
fumble.
I've heard of the movie, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one because I don't.
The quarterback's name is Joe Kane, I think. Joe Kane, I think so.
I'm gonna have to look that
I
one
haven't
up.
watched it in a while, but it's one of my favorites. Like it's so good. It's so good.
There's a list of really good football ones.
Put the women and children to bed. Oh man, I forgot the rest of the line.
Women
and children to bed, and let's go cooking or something like that.
Oh my goodness! No, I mean, there's a list of some really good ones I thought about. Like I remember the Titans, Longest Yard. Either one, it really doesn't matter to me. I'll watch The Longest Yard. The movie Friday Night Lights is good, but I personally like the TV show better. Since the question is related to movies, I'll stay with movies. I'm gonna go with Greater. It is the movie. It is the
What?
Brian Bullsworth story. You know who Brian Bullsworth is? As a college football guy, you ought to know that one. So Brian Bullsworth is the award given. It's the Brian Bullsworth Award is given to the best walk-on each year in Division I college football. And the Brian Bullsworth movie. Listen, if you cry in movies, this is the movie to watch because it will bring you to tears.
Oh, Neil McDonough. Okay.
I recommended this movie to my buddy and said, dude, you need to watch this movie the night before his wedding. And he stayed up the night before his wedding and watched it. And the next day, I'm the best man at his wedding. And he looks at me and goes, why the hell did you make me cry before my wedding, bro? It's a really good one, though. It's the story of how he went from, or his story and journey to become, like he ends up making it to the NFL as a walk-on at the University of Arkansas, and it was his lifelong dream. And
okay.
It's a really good one. I think I stumbled across it on accident one day and watched it, and I think I watched it 3 times in the week after I watched it. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a recency too why I like it so much, but it was a really good one.
Okay.
So,
all right. So the quote was, "Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner."
okay.
Look for effing dinner, but.
Well, I mean, we're technically explicit, but
yeah.
It's only because we slip up now and then. I mean, when I think of a football quote, though, I go to the TV series of Friday Night Lights, and I go, "Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose." Coach Taylor from.
I never watched the TV show.
You never watched the TV show, man.
No.
It's rock solid. You know Michael B. Jordan's in it.
Yep.
He comes in as the quarterback in the later seasons, and it's a really good one.
While we're on it, so TV show, favorite football TV show is Friday Night Lights.
Football TV show, ooh. Only because I don't want to go
sorry to spring it on you, but
I would say Friday Night Lights, but there would be if I'm in a situation where I want but All American is really good right now. So yeah, I get into some TV shows. All American's a really good one. But Blue Mountain State is amazing.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say, dude.
Oh,
hey, we got that. Blue Mountain State easily.
I cannot tell you how many times I thought today has sucked. I need to watch something really stupid, and I turn on Blue Mountain State, and you're just like Thad Castle. I mean, the Cowboys had Thad Castle. They still have Thad Castle's brother, basically in LVE. So, no, that's a quality one. Those are the first 3 that automatically come to brain. And like,
honestly,
I'm still
the
watching
whole
one
reason when you started mentioning TV shows and football, I was like, Blue Mountain State. I was like, I gotta ask him TV shows.
It's a hilarious show. Like, I mean, it is the farthest from appropriate. Do not try to watch that with your children, even in the house, probably.
Yeah, do not.
But
hey, if you want a good laugh, watch the Drug Olympics episode.
The which one?
The
Drug Olympics? Yes, that's like the 4th episode, by the way. You don't have to wait to get into big things. The Oxana. See the floats that was cool. Oh yeah. So, man, No, I don't even know how I'm going to get back on topic with that. Now I'm just sitting here and laugh the rest of the time.
All right, well, hey, let's talk about the World Baseball Classic.
This is true. At WBC, we'll go from really funny to, man, the 72 hours of baseball that ensued for the 2 semifinal games and the final, USA pretty much handled business for the most part in that first semifinal. That Mexico-Japan game, man, what a ball game. I was playing softball while it was on, and I had my coveralls on because it was kind of cold, and I put my phone right here in my coveralls so I could watch the game in center field because I didn't want to miss it. I'm running the bases, listening. I got players on the other team asking for score updates, and then when in the bottom of the 7th, I have his name written down here, Yoshida, the kid that the Red Sox signed. So he's 28. They signed him to going on 29. Signed to a 5-year, $90 million deal. The Red Sox did. He was the big offensive free agent that came out of Japan this year. Hits a 3-run dinger to tie the game in the bottom of the 7th inning, and then you turn around and get to the 8th inning when Mexico comes out and throws up 2 more runs and Randy Arozarena plays for the Rays, so you don't always get to hear his name because the Rays are one of those teams that are, low in budget, but they always have a quality team. That dude's a stud in big moments, and he ran his mouth the whole WBC, but I think he batted like 580 in the 7 games. Like, he earned all rights. And his story to play for Mexico was crazy. Did you know his story? He's Cuban. He's of Cuban descent.
Oh, okay.
And he made the Cuban national team at the last WBC. And whenever Cuba was getting ready to go, they told him no, he could not play because they didn't want him to defect to America to go to Major League Baseball while he was there. And so he ended up leaving Cuba, going to Mexico. The country of Mexico brought him in with open arms. Now he's a citizen of Mexico and claims Mexican citizenship and says Cuba wouldn't let me represent this country, so I will gladly play for Mexico.
It's funny you bring that up with one of the Cuban catchers defecting.
And I was going to say, because the starting catcher for Cuba is the first player to ever defect, which I will be surprised. I am surprised we haven't seen more players do that.
I'm really surprised.
It is an easy opportunity to do it. I'm sure they have some strict guidelines on it, but it's the best opportunity you're going to get that doesn't involve illegal transportation to get across the border.
Yeah.
So I am really surprised we haven't seen more of that, but that going into the 8th inning or the 9th inning though, you've got, or the 8th inning when Mexico's is up by 2. The shortstop for Japan is playing with a broken pinky on his top hand. Everybody in the field knows he's laying down a bunt with runners on first and second, no outs. Okay, if you don't know, in Japan during their All-Star weekend, like we do home run derbies, they actually have a bunt contest. Like they put pads down on the ground with points like a bullseye, and they drop them down and they give these guys points. The fundamentals of baseball in Japan are ridiculously coached. And so this man walks up with 2 strikes and a broken pinky and lays down a bunt moving both runners successfully. Just masterful at bat. Then they come up and they lead the 9th inning, and you get Ohtani gets a double. Yoshida comes up and he gets walked because he's hit the 3-run home run and he's batting .470, leads the Classic in RBIs. You don't want to pitch to him, and he's Shohei's game-winning run or game-time run on second. And the kid that comes up next is Matsusaku. I'm totally gonna botch that, but they call him Baby Babe Ruth in Japan. He's 25. He's won 2 MVP awards already, and literally the World Baseball Classic was the worst he's ever played. They said it's the worst baseball he's ever played, and against the U.S., he's the one that hit the first solo home run, and he had a huge hit late, and he put the double off the wall that scored the 2 runs to win the semifinal game. So if the worst baseball he's played is a 263 hitter that hits clutch bombs, yeah, wait till he gets posted.
Oh, yeah.
Because the only other guy that's going to make more money than him, because Japan is just loaded with players. I mean, there are numerous Major League Baseball players that did not play for Team Japan because Japan was like, nah, we're good. Like, Sasakawa, the 21-year-old pitcher that pitched that he started the semifinal for for Team Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing 102 like it was nothing.
Yeah.
At 21. That kid's ERA at the age of 18 and at the age of 19 and 20 in the Japan League right now is like a 2.01. Which is, I mean, that's like we've said before. The Japanese Baseball League is literally like, here's AAA, here's Japanese Baseball League, and here's Major League Baseball. Like, that's how universally it's seen across the sport. And this kid's throwing 102. Like, most people are saying, like, during the class, they're like, he's the best pitcher in the world that's not already in the bigs. And give him 2 years, he'll probably be the best pitcher in the bigs. And he's teammates with Shohei Ohtani, who led the baseball classic in ERA and innings pitched while batting .435 and drawing 10 walks.
That's nuts.
Like, that team is stupid.
I mean, did you see the stat that 97% of TVs in Japan were watching Shohei versus Mike Trout?
Oh, I had posted on Facebook before the game. I really want to see Shohei versus Trout, and I said that post knowing that I have no issues with the Japanese team. I wanted, obviously, the Team USA to win the game, but I said that post knowing that if it's going to happen, the only way it's going to happen is if the U.S. is tied or down. Like,
right.
the only way.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Shohei come in the ninth inning unless he's coming in to close the game out. That's just what was going to happen. And especially after Darvish, who actually struggled for most of WBC. If you're the Padres, you don't feel good about that extension you just gave him. But the I mean, that Trout versus Ohtani at bat it's probably people aren't gonna realize how big of a deal that at bat is. Because you're talking about probably the best player of the last generation, the last decade, his teammate, and the guy that's probably the best player we're gonna see for the next decade.
Yeah.
And he's already been the best player in baseball probably the last 2 years. Like, the only reason he won the MVP last year is because Judge almost broke the home run record. I mean, it's just insane what Ohtani's bringing. And then he had his list of what he wants to achieve in life. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
He wrote every year from the age of 18 to 41, he has listed out what he wants to do. And on the age 28, it literally says, make Team Japan WBC and win MVP. And he's 28 years old right now.
Wow.
Now, he also said by now that was before he had to go to Japan because America wouldn't let him bat. That's the reason he wasn't in the big as early as he was, is he tried to go to the majors at 18. And he was like, I pitch and hit. And they said, no, you don't. This is baseball. You pitch or hit. And he said, okay, watch me. And he went to Japan and he broke baseball. And so now they're like letting him do both because he's too good not to.
Yeah.
And so it'll be.
Actually, you know what I heard was Babe Ruth only did that for 2 years.
Yes, Babe Ruth only did both for 2 seasons.
Yeah, and it's not like it was.
Babe Ruth didn't throw 101.
Yeah. So this is the fact that he's going to have a career doing this is a whole new level.
And Ruth wasn't nearly as athletic as Ohtani is. Like, people don't even factor that when you're a big guy, you don't get hurt as often because you don't move your muscles in the same way. Like, as big as Babe Ruth was, power hitters aren't getting hurt as often. I used to be a really big dude. You got aches and pains for being a big guy, but I've taken on more injuries since I started moving faster because you push the envelope more when you're faster, when you feel you're more athletic. And so Ohtani comes up to bat and gets on first base, and they're like, he's stealing here. And it's like, this dude's 6'4", 230, and we're talking about him stealing second base like he's freaking Ricky Henderson. And they're like, well, he's that fast. Which that plays into, we didn't get to it much, but we talked about the new rules.
Yeah.
And there was a detail of bases of the new rule that I thought about this week. And that's that we talked about the super bags. Someone turned the hot water on. The 18-inch bases that look like pizza boxes. You know, we talked about how big those were going to be and how that was going to change that a few weeks back. Well, there were things that weren't factored in, is that brings the bases 4.5 inches closer. And with restricting the shift, limiting pickoffs, and the timers that are now in place, are we going to see Ricky Henderson again? No. Could we see 55, 60 steals out of a guy like a Cedric Mullins or a Bobby Witt Jr. or someone who is a burner? Absolutely. And the second most fun play in baseball is the throw down to second.
Yeah.
Like, it's a blast. Like, when a true bang bang gets going.
It was always fun to watch.
Pudge was a blast because he was so defensive minded. I hate Yadier Molina. But I wasn't letting nobody I'm coaching run on him. That dude was bang bang pop time for days. But I mean, the only thing that was more fun to watch is an outfielder throwing a runner out.
Oh yeah.
Everyone gets all hyped about the home run, and ESPN shows the home run, and I'm like, everybody hits home runs. Let me see you throw him out from right field on a first to third. You ain't running on Guerrero. You ain't running on Mookie Betts. You ain't running on those guys. And so those are always my favorite. That'll always be my favorite play. Otherwise, we're a week out from opening day. Next Wednesday, we'll really get to dive in because we'll know all the opening day starters. Everyone will.
Oh yeah.
All that fun stuff. We'll
that'll
really
be fun to get into.
Yeah, we'll save that because it's not the busiest sports time we've established, so we're not trying to like run all of our content away. So, baseball movie then.
All right, I'll let you go first. I already know what it is. We already talked about it.
Yeah, mine's easy. It's the Field of Dreams.
And
there's no struggles there. Don't have to think about it. There's some good movies out there. There's other ones that like Major League, things like that, but Field of Dreams takes the cake.
So, Field of Dreams is the one I chose, but because I knew that you had that we already went through this, so I already knew what it meant to you. And you've been there and everything. Like I know what it means to you. So I decided to choose something different. And RPG baby, Hardball.
Great movie. That before John Wick came out, I would have told you that the only time that he ever did good acting was when he did a sports movie. Because between that and The Replacements, he was just so... Shane Falco was the guy that I would name my Madden creative player for the longest time. Like, he killed it in sports movies. And, I like it when you call me Big Papa. Like, all that. No, great movie. Another one that, if you're a crier, if you hadn't seen it's gonna hit a tear. I mean, there are other good baseball ones. Like I said, I would say baseball probably has the most great sports movies. It
does. There's a ton of them. There is a ton of them.
I could sit off and just list them.
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, solid. Even on a more serious note, Pride of the Yankees, great movie. That's you're gonna get out of that one. A League of Their Own, a damn good movie.
42.
42 is a really good one. Rest in peace to the king. Let's see. There's 8 Men Out, the story of the 1919 Black Sox. And you want to see a good one? That's the story of how Shoeless Joe gets screwed over, like what happened in that process of that team and how they threw the World Series and everything else.
No, I haven't seen that.
That's a really good one. A lot of people like Bull Durham. I'm not a huge Bull Durham fan. The Sandlot, you're a criminal if you don't mention The Sandlot. I mean, that's childhood baseball right there. Moneyball there's a lot of details left out about that team, but the movie is good.
Yeah. The
Natural's really good. I mean, you could sit and name baseball movies for the length of our show run. Like that, it is definitely and the fact that we're both have played a lot of baseball and softball, and like it's part of our choice of sports to participate in. It's a little easier to gravitate to those, and
So while we're on this, because we're not really going to talk a lot about it, golf. What do you want to mention about golf?
Well, let's see.
All right. So before we mention that,
I'm gonna pull up my golf tab here while you mention. You want to start with your movie, and then I'll get into detail of sport.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go ahead and jump into the movie part of this instead of doing it at the end, so that he can look some stuff up. Because I totally spaced out on.
We're 2 weeks from the majors or the Masters.
There we go.
There's only one weekend more popular than last weekend's NCAA tournament for a man to get his vasectomy. and that's the weekend of the Masters. Seriously, March and April are the two most popular months to get a man to get his vasectomy in because he spends all weekend watching basketball or he spends all weekend watching the final round of the Masters.
Oh yeah, how was the LIV golf thing doing? That's not doing too well, is it?
It's got so they have their own. I know they're running their channels through the CW, like they're broadcasting their events there.
Oh well.
They have to be doing something right because PGA Tour is starting to change rules. I've learned the PGA Tour had a problem with getting big names to be at every tournament, so people weren't watching all the tournaments. They were just watching the majors and some of the big ones. Well, now the PGA Tour has opened up bigger purses, so they're paying some of their bigger golfers more. They are putting required events on the schedule where you have to play in this event to qualify for this style of payday. And unless you're hurt, you kind of have to. And so, I mean, there's some guys that are doing some good things. The PGA Tour is still the king in golf. I know that Tiger and Rory are working on some kind of golf challenge. And I think there's a Netflix special that I was told I need to watch that is a following of PGA Tour golfers and like what they have going on. So it'll be interesting. I don't know yet how the process goes with the Masters and the LIV golfer players though, because there's still that separation because the Masters is not a PGA event. And so like a guy like Phil Mickelson, who is no longer a PGA golfer, he is a LIV golfer. He has a lifetime card to play at Augusta. Like he can play that course whenever he wants basically if he calls up. And so he's automatically into that event. I don't know how that plays into what they're going to do because I know there is still that rift. You do have some young, talented guys like I think Cam Johnson is one that not long ago, he made the transition. Cameron Smith just made the transition to live full time. So it's interesting what's going on. I know Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm are dominating things right as the number 1 and 2 golfers in the world. So I watch like 4 golf tournaments a year, and I don't even watch the whole tournament. I watch Sunday, and it's really like the last 3 holes, and that's Augusta. It's one of them.
I'm going to be honest.
You don't even watch that?
No.
I went to Top Golf last week, and now I hit some really good shots, so I feel obligated to watch more now. And I'm going to start playing more. Like I'm getting back. I'm slowed down my softball play, and so I need a new expensive hobby to take up my time. And golf is just as expensive as softball.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it's funny when my brother and I go to Top Golf. The few times that we've gone, like we never play the games. We just try to outdrive each other.
We went there.
All we do is just see who could drive the furthest.
My buddy took me. He said, "You look like you need a mental health day." So he drugged me out there to go to it, and I went. And I got there and I was like, the goal is to hit as far as you want, right? And he's like, no, we're going to play these games. And I was like, I'm going to play the game some, which I did play. I ended up winning we played 3 games in the 2 hours we were there. Okay. I ended up winning the last game, like some chips and stuff. I shanked some, but I made an adjustment that I watched on an Instagram video. And I started hitting the ball straight, 185 yards with a hybrid thing. And I was like, I'm never hitting off the tee again because I only shanked it when I hit it off the tee. I thought the tee was supposed to make your life easier. I suck off the tee.
It's supposed to just lift it up off the ground so it's a little bit easier to
screw that. Put the ball on the ground. I'm hitting it off that way.
Like I don't know a lot about golf, but oh man, I'm terrible at putting.
I'm terrible at it.
So let's go ahead and talk about the movie.
I could only think of 2 golf movies, so I had one that was my favorite.
Okay, well I'll let you go first.
My favorite golf movie is Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
The other golf movie that I can think of that's actually really good is called The Greatest Game, and it's Shia LaBeouf.
That was a good one.
It was a solid.
That's not the one I got.
It was a solid golf movie. You're gonna say one, and I'm gonna go, oh, I do know that movie. Tin Cup, isn't that a golf movie? Tin Cup with Kevin Costner.
Oh yeah.
See, 3.
There's Groundhog Day.
Oh yeah.
Not Groundhog Day.
No, you say it now. I know what you're talking about. It's got that actor in it though.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna drive me nuts.
How are we?
I love that movie. Caddyshack. Such a good movie. Oh, I forgot all about that one.
We're going to edit
so clear.
that part out.
That's older than me. So.
All right. So mine is actually, it stars someone that does not like you talking about his wife. Like, keep his wife's name out your mouth.
Will Smith's in a golf movie?
Yeah, he sure is. He sure is. And, he's in there with Matt Damon. The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Huh. I'll have to look it up. No, really? I've never heard of it.
So good.
And I like Will Smith.
So
and I like Matt Damon.
He just like shows it's almost Field of Dreams like in a way. So he just randomly shows up from out of the field and ends up helping Matt Damon become a really good golfer.
In a totally unsports topic related thing, how much money has the U.S. government wasted on saving Matt Damon's life? I mean, I swear every movie he's in there. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, when he's stuck on Mars or something and we had to bring him back. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The government spends a lot of money on saving Matt Damon. But he also robs casinos.
He's a national treasure.
You forget about how many movies he's been in. Like, Ocean's movies, Good Will Hunting. I just recently watched it like a year and a half ago, and that is an amazing movie.
That is an amazing movie.
So, well, with that, we got... there's some basketball going on. That will say
Just
there's
a little bit.
There's a little bit going on. The Mavs are playing right now. They're down by 3 as the free throw just went into the Golden State Warriors, who are the only team in the league that's, except for like the 2 teams that are eliminated from playoff contention already, that have only won single-digit games on the road. Like the Warriors are awful on the road. And no one's playing defense in this Mavs game tonight. The score is literally 93-90 with 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. Like, they're on pace for a final score in the 125 range. Luka's back tonight, though, because one of my points today was talking about the Mavs' health. But they got Luka back.
Yeah.
Kyrie's still battling some stuff. Tim Hardaway Jr. is sick, so he was out tonight. The one that people need to watch out for the Mavs is Jaden Hardy. He's still got some questionable, like, decision-making things going on, but it seems like every time I turn around, he's splashing 17, 18, 19, 20 points.
Well, he's going to be the next Brunson.
I mean, he was... I think he's a good case. I heard this on the radio, actually. He's a good case for why you might not want to go the G League route. Because Jaden Hardy was a top 5 recruit out of high school nationally, and he selected to go to the G League. Now, that could go one of 2 ways. Playing the G League means you're playing against guys that are on the cusp of the NBA.
Yeah.
So that's either improving your game, or it's the reason you're not picked in the top 10 because you're not getting the notoriety of an NCAA tournament. Because look at some of these guys that we're learning and seeing about in the NCAA tournament, a Brandon Miller for Alabama or something like that, that when they go out and ball on the big stage, Drew Timmy's been at Gonzaga, it feels like 8 years. Drew Timmy will get drafted in the second round because Drew Timmy puts up buckets when he gets Gonzaga to the tournament. Like, he just does. And that's going to get him a second-round pick, probably. That's how Draymond Green made his life. He was a stud at Michigan State, and he made a name for himself in the tournament.
Okay.
Kemba Walker's a top 10 pick because he had the nastiest step back we've ever seen in basketball history coming in that NCAA tournament run for them. So, Jaden Hardy's been electric for the Mavs off the bench.
Speaking of off the bench, Jaw's back.
He is. Off the bench. He's coming off the bench tonight, and I saw an update on them a second ago, and they were winning. And I want to say he has like 18 points off the bench. This is his first game back. First game back from suspension. Props to the Grizzlies. I don't think John Morant can ever win an MVP. It's going to sound crazy. But the Grizzlies, for the MVP in my eyes, the team has to be a little worse without you. The Grizzlies win when Jaw's not on the court. Like, their last 10 without him, they were 6-4. Last year, I think they were like 22-6 when Jaw didn't play because he got hurt. I mean, I'm not saying that John Morant's not a fantastic basketball player. Take away all the other stuff that's going on, and hopefully, for his sake, he was able to address those issues. But, like, tonight he's got 12 minutes. He scored. Okay, he's got 10 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. They're playing the Rockets, so it's not really like they're playing anybody. But, I say that, but the Rockets beat the Lakers the other day in a game the Lakers needed to have. So it'll be good for them though to get him back because it is such a tight race. I mean, we talked about it last week. The standings across the NBA are ridiculously tight. I mean, this Mavs Golden State game literally says winner goes back into the play-in, the loser's out of the play. Like, that's how close that is. If the Suns were to go on a 5-game losing streak or a 4-game losing streak, there's only 8 games left, but a 4-game losing streak's not crazy. Like, that happens. Suns lose 4 games in a row and the right teams win, the Suns fall out of the playoff picture altogether. While Durant's not even available to play. Like, there's just... It's weird saying that with 2 weeks left in the season, you're playing must-win basketball if you're a cussed team. The Thunder, boy, y'all making me happy and not making me look bad is the best thing y'all have done. 500 for the first time I feel like since we lost everybody good. SGA leads the league in points per game since, that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, leads the league in points per game since the All-Star break. And meanwhile, Paul George is out another 3 weeks. If you don't realize that the Clippers got fleeced by giving us SGA, you don't know. Because that young man is a star in the making. And so, it's going to be fun watching the race come down. LeBron, they think might be back this season.
I saw
but
that.
I think it's only going to come down to how the team can do. Because you're still getting day-to-day out of Anthony Davis. I will say this. I lose more and more respect for Anthony Davis every time that he sits out at back-to-back and must-win games. Like, I've never been the biggest Anthony Davis guy. I respect his skill, but I don't think that I think he's kind of overrated for most of his career. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
But he's never been one that can win a game. Like, in the last 5 minutes, he's not winning the game by himself. We've watched Joker. We've watched Giannis. Guys play the same position as him. We've watched Joel Embiid be able to lead their team to success as bigs. So you can't tell me, oh, it's because he's a big. But I don't know. I think he's never been as good to me as the media hyped him up.
The problem with him is he's a mixture of the classic big man and a little bit of the big man now. Like he isn't, and that's why the NBA has changed so much. It gotten away from them is because they're not real. Like he's a star, but they're not the stars.
Yeah, and I did see a great comment the other day where they interviewed him and they said, I want my jersey to be in the rafters of the Lakers. Now, mind you that at one point Laker fans were calling him street clothes. And so the picture's in the rafters and it's Kobe and Paul Gasol and then it's a plaid t-shirt up in the rafters and you're like, yeah, but it's true though. Like, majority of the time that he's been in a Lakers jersey, it's about a 60-40 split on what jersey he's actually wearing versus his goofy clothes and that.
There's no, in my opinion, there's no way he's going to have his jersey hung up in the rafter. He hasn't done anything.
If you ask me, his jersey's not even in the rafters of the Pelicans, where he spent most of his career as a multi-time All-Star.
I mean, that's probably true too.
Like, because
I don't know.
I don't care.
Just because
they might do it because of the Pelicans and there's no one else up there.
Yeah.
But like he hadn't done anything. They didn't win when he was there. Like Zion, when Zion's on the court, they're a better team. They win basketball games, but Zion can't stay on the court. When he was on the court, they still sucked. Like, it took them getting Boogie Cousins in him to get wins. Oh, garage play. And so, with that, basketball movie. Basketball's got some good ones.
I'll go first on this one.
Go for it.
Again, I'm going to show my age. This one, to me, is one that, if I see it, I will immediately just drop everything and watch it. I love it. It's another one that I watched when I was 13, 14 years old or so. And I always go back to it. It's what's funny is the main character in the movie, for the longest time growing up, I thought it was Allen Iverson, but it wasn't. I swear. I mean, he went to Georgetown and everything, so I was like, "Oh, it's Allen Iverson. That's who it is." Totally not. It's an actual actor that was playing the part. But my favorite basketball movie is Above the Rim.
Okay.
Tupac, you know, and it's classic. I love it so much.
Okay. I know that movie. I haven't seen it, but I do know that movie.
Yeah. What is his name? Leon. That's his name. Just Leon. He's one of the guys in it. Keenan Wayans is in it.
Okay. I know him.
Yeah. Keenan is. Like it's got Bernie Mac is in it for a little bit.
Oh, Bernie Mac, Mr. 3000, baseball movie that I forgot to bring.
Yeah.
That's a good one right there too.
You know, it's
rest in peace to Mr. Bernie Mac
and Tupac.
And Tupac. There's those conspiracies.
No, it's one of those, man. It's not really actually a basketball movie. It's actually more something else, but it's also got basketball in it.
It's kind of like why One Tree Hill's not really a basketball TV show, but it's my favorite basketball TV show.
Like I would put it on the level of, oh man, why did I? You go ahead.
I'm looking over. I mean, the movie that comes to mind right away. Like I'm looking over these lists of them. Just White Man Can't Jump, great movie. Hoosiers is a very good one. Space Jam, it's funny. I didn't actually.
Finding Forrester is what I was gonna say.
I didn't even mind the new Space Jam. I think they did a good job. It goes to the times well. It fits what kids are into now. So I thought that was what I was into as a kid. The original one lines up with better though. Blue Chips, that's a good one. You got Shaq
Blue
in
Chip
it.
classic.
Yeah. Love and Basketball. A little off the basketball court, but it's a really good one in between it actually does into some WNBA basketball.
That was one I was never like a huge fan of.
Yeah, it was one I you know.
Another Keenan Wayans movie. Is it Keenan Wayans? Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
Keenan. Yeah.
White chicks.
The Sixth Man.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever seen that.
Maybe. Oh, there's fine.
It's where
there's Sixth Man. There he is.
Yeah,
when he's playing with a ghost, his brother had passed away. That's right. Yeah. Then semi-pro Will Ferrell.
Oh semi-pro. Okay.
He like Mike was all right. There's a few of them. I'm trying. There's some on here that Air Bud movies. You can't forget about when a dog can make a jumper. Basketball, little mix.
Oh yeah, basketball.
But I would say that mine's gonna have to be Coach Carter.
Yeah, that was Above the Rim and Coach Carter are right there for me.
But that Hustle one that Adam Sandler just did, that's super.
I mean, but
it's no Coach Carter, but it's a super
good
movie. I think I liked it because it's a different angle of the basketball world. But no, Coach Carter and how he comes in and just changes that program. Glory Road's a really good one also. Which would tie into, I guess I could take Glory Road and call it my favorite college basketball movie.
Well, there you go.
As we slide into that, we are going into Sweet 16 weekend.
Yeah.
And so we've got games starting tomorrow night. We had some fun stuff happen. My Facebook was down, so he got the task of share it and realize that's how I felt on free agency weekend. Because you get the whole weekend starts with Furman winning on a senior point guard forgetting that they had timeouts. The Virginia point guard gets trapped in the corner. All he has to do is this. And he just thinks he's going to heave it. One of the greatest shots that kid will hit in his life, that Furman guard. Bucket. That was, you knew as soon as that started, I'm sitting at work going, man, and I can't post on Facebook about none of this. Mind you, for the ones who are my friends on Facebook that listen, I have a new account. Go give me an ad there.
And there's a good chance that we may start a new page.
There's a very good chance we're going to have to find a way to report the old one, start a new one. Because we're worried about the old Facebook being hacked at some point and messing up everything that we have. So we're working on that stuff too. But
I don't have access to adding and
and I can't be an admin, and he doesn't want to do all the posting.
No, I don't have a problem with the posting part. Other than posting, I have no access to anything else.
Which doesn't make sense because I gave you government access. But then you go into Purdue loses to the 16 seed I said last week, you'll never see a 16 doesn't win. They rarely win. Don't be the sucker that tries it. I'm an idiot. I said it again. FDU for the win. And then Purdue, it comes down, has now lost 3 years in a row to a 13 seed or higher after getting knocked out last year by a 15 seed.
It's so crazy.
And they're a good program. Last year they got knocked out as by a 16 seed in the Sweet 16. So it's not like they were losing in the first round to awful teams. It's just they catch that team. I mean, FDU played a very good basketball game with FAU. The Florida Atlantic team, who's the second highest seed left as a 9 seed. That was a very good basketball game. I sat there Sunday watching it on my phone while I was getting ready for league night. So matchups we got left though. UConn plays Arkansas. That's been the betting popular one because Arkansas has looked really good. So a lot of money's gone on both sides of that one.
UConn is favored by 4.
By 4 now. Then UCLA plays Zaga. I believe that one's like a 1.5 point spread. So winner of those 2 games will play each other for the spot at the Final Four. You got Bama and San Diego State versus Creighton and Princeton. Fun run for Princeton. It's over here. They're going to lose to the Blue Jays.
This is the biggest spread, 9.5.
Yeah, I think that you're going to say that Creighton probably goes home, parties, and says they blew their wad. That's what they're going to say. I like Creighton. I said last week that I like Creighton. I think Creighton could get by Bama, but Bama is a very good team, so I think that'll be a very good game, and the winner of that Bama, if Bama gets by San Diego State, which I don't doubt will happen.
You know what I'm proud of? 3 of my Final Four teams are still in it.
Are they? Yeah. Nice. I think I want to say I have 2 of my 4 Final Four.
I have UT, Gonzaga,
I knew better than picking sorry Kansas. They always freaking Kansas. I swear. Kansas gets beat by Arkansas, but Arkansas look good. So I have UT left in it too. And you picked them to win it, right?
Yeah.
Did you pick them because you love UT or because you thought okay? See, I actually picked them because I thought that they could win it.
I'm not even gonna lie. I picked them because I'm a Longhorn fan.
I think that their path to the Final Four is this is gonna sound crazy considering that there's a 15 seed still in one of the brackets. I think Texas has the easiest path to the Final Four because I have no faith in Houston. I don't think Houston looked great in the Sweet 16. They ended up in the round of 32 game. They ended up putting some space away and getting the win. But I think Texas beats Xavier, who's playing with 2 injured starters and has picked up to get their wins where they're at on the lesser comp they had to play. And I think Texas gets through Houston. I see a very easy path for the Texas Longhorns into the Final Four. Now, they've never won a national title in college basketball, so it would be funny if they get one of those in football before the next football one. Considering because of all the love that Texas football gets. Every year they're like, Texas is ranked every year, even if they're not going to be good or not. They're a preseason ranked
always.
And then they turn around and they win one in basketball, which is comical.
With a coach that didn't even start the year as the coach.
Yeah, that's the story there, and what's the fun part. And then you run into Tennessee, FAU. I think Tennessee puts them away. I think FAU's had a good run. They have a good record if you look at it, but it's like we've said in the past, some of these teams have great records from bad teams. They don't play a lot of good teams. And even getting here, they're a 9 seed. They beat an 8 seed and they beat a 16 seed. They didn't have to play, the 1 seed to prove they were a good team that upset anyone. They just were like, we beat a team that caught fire. And they played a close game. So that either says that FDU is really good, or FAU is actually closer to FDU, and FDU was a fluke in the first place over beating Purdue. So I think Tennessee will take that. Then you run into K-State, Michigan State. I never count Tom Izzo out.
And funny enough, this is the only game where the away team is favored, or the underdog is favored.
In K-State.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Michigan State.
Or in Michigan State, I'm sorry. Yeah, and that's largely because of Tom Izzo, the Tom Izzo effect. A lot of people think the reason Kansas loses to Arkansas is because Bill Self wasn't on the sideline. If you don't know that, Bill Self's dealing with health issues. Bill Self is an all-time great coach in college basketball. He's not on your sideline. College sports gets changed by the coach more than any sport, I think, than any level. The level of what they're learning, because
college athletes are still that transition, whether they're 20, 21, 22, I get it. They're not kids anymore. They're grown-ups. But I was 21, 22, 20, 19, and I wasn't a grown-up until I was like 27. And I'd already had 2 kids by then. So you kind of have to figure it out, and I think that missing that important voice really does cause an issue in those situations. So it'll be fun. The games will be good. We got to see a lot of fun action there. Technically, I get to say I have a favorite college basketball movie by calling it out as Glory Road, because the Texas Wesleyan Miners, I believe it was, go on to win the 1964 national championship as the first all-black starting lineup. Yeah, I just watched that movie a few months ago, actually. That's all I remember all the details. Then, because we said we'd start touching on other sports, I know that Formula One started. And I know that from my new job that they have a pretty big event coming up in Vegas.
How did you get that job?
S&K Consultants, and the help that Stephen Farmer put in as getting me ready for interview prep, resume assignments, and all the fun stuff that went along to help me get there, which I need to add him onto Facebook now. Thanks for the reminder. And so that'll be a fun one. I know that that's coming up. I'm gonna try to find the date, because I told people we would. I know that in the world of NASCAR, William Byron was off to a great start. I think he won 2 of the first 4 races, and then his Chevy teammates won the other 2. And so, like, the first 4 races all went Chevy. Pulling up some Formula One action here, like I know what I'm looking at. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I have no clue.
Formula One, all right.
Will Lewis Hamilton ever win another Formula One race? I'm gonna tell you, I thought he was supposed to be one of the studs, so I just assumed he won a lot. Apparently, Lewis Hamilton is the Dale Earnhardt Jr. of Formula One. That might get me hate, but that headline says there's questions there. And so, be interesting.
Okay, so apparently Mercedes is changing the way that they're going to be doing things to improve their position ahead of the Australian Grand Prix.
Okay.
So that's going to be that'll be something.
All right.
I don't know what, but it'll be something.
I don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to do something. We're just trying to make sure that we looked up and learned all the new sports. Then let's see. Oh, Joey Logano won the last race. He also won the pole for the qualifying races, which is impressive. Did he lead every lap? I highly doubt it. But
no.
If you don't know what winning the pole is, you win the pole if you qualify with the fastest time, which is how they seed who starts in what place. So we don't touch on a lot of NASCAR, but we are making sure we touch on, anything that's coming. With that said, hockey.
Whoa! We got to talk about the movie.
Oh yeah, we do have a NASCAR movie, and I have one. 2.
Yeah.
I think of 2, but I have 1.
All right, yeah, and so technically it's a racing movie. So
Oh yeah, I'm bending the rules. I don't actually have a NASCAR movie.
It doesn't have to be NASCAR or Formula One.
You just said sports, and I live my life a quarter mile at a time, and to give me the original Fast and the Furious movies. I love all of them, but the first 2, 1 really, when we were racing,
Yeah. So it's funny because you said that. It made me actually think of another movie that I actually really liked a lot. That it has to do with racing, not sport racing. It has to do with racing. Kind of in the same tone that Fast and Furious. Biker Boys.
I just watched that movie not a couple
Like,
months
I
ago.
really loved Biker Boys.
It was a good movie.
I mean,
it was a good racing movie. It dealt with, a circuit of that street racing market. So no,
that whole.
If you're gonna strictly make me go NASCAR, I will say Talladega Nights is absolutely hilarious.
And I will go Days of Thunder.
But we're gonna bend the rules on racing movies and pick outside the box. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of a hockey recap. The Stars are still 3rd in the Western Conference. I think they lost their last game, but they're looking good. Playoffs are not too far. I think only one team is clinched, and we've discovered that the Boston Bruins are going to win the Stanley Cup. Nobody else in hockey is even close to them, from what I've learned by reading the numbers, which don't tell the whole story, but the Boston Bruins have a goal differential of plus 113. Do you know who the second best is? I mean, I know you don't know who the second best is by team, but do you know what number, just shooting out a number, considering their number, is the second highest plus goal differential in the league? It would be plus 54 from the New Jersey Devils. That's almost 60. It's literally 60 goals over the second best plus minus in the league in goal differential.
Lord.
So I don't know much about hockey, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Vegas has the Boston Bruins winning the Stanley Cup. They're the only team in the league that's clinched. Actually, more teams have been eliminated from the postseason in hockey than have clinched. Like 4 teams are already out of the running, and the one team that's not is the Boston Bruins. So, for your hockey people, as far as a hockey movie goes, I'm gonna go with I'm going with Mighty Ducks. I was gonna go with Miracle because but I'm going Miracle. Or I'm going to Mighty Ducks.
Make your mind up.
I'm going Mighty Ducks, but I'm gonna take the second Mighty Ducks when they represent their country, because then I kind of tie it in still.
Okay, I get that. So, Mighty Ducks it's the classic. It's what made...
It's a Sandlot of hockey.
Yeah, it's what made all of, especially people our age, want to go get rollerblades and play street hockey.
Yeah, because we live in Texas. We don't have ice.
Yeah. We can't do that and go outside. Like, we did that, we'd just be stepping. There's nothing to slide on here. But, yeah, I mean, Mighty Ducks was something that just changed everything for us. Emilio Estevez being a hockey coach, that was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then it ended up having several stars in it.
Well, it has ties because of the time frame when it happens. There's ties to your Dallas Stars because during the first movie, I believe the Minnesota North Stars. Yeah. And then they get moved. So in the second movie, when they represent their country, they meet Mike Madonna, who's now the Dallas Stars. And so there are some pretty cool, whether you realize it or not, tie-ins for the Dallas folks, the Texas people, and all that fun stuff.
And then, of course, by the movie was hold on. Let me rewind that. The team is actually owned by Disney, which is why the Mighty Ducks, whenever they had those jerseys, that's why they ended up wearing them like the actual hockey team. That's why they ended up wearing those, because they were actually owned by Disney. I don't know if they're still owned by them, but at the time they were owned by Disney, and that's why.
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's awesome. That is one of the cooler parts when they come rolling out in the Ducks jersey and the Ducks fly together. The third one's actually not that bad. When they go to college or the prep school thing, that one's really not that bad. It was it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah. You could have stopped at 2. The TV series was
and then you had to do the TV
interesting series until you kicked Coach Bombay off, and then it was kind of like.
But hey, you know what? Josh Duhamel. I love Josh Duhamel.
I didn't even watch the second season.
So, it has Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, I know he replaced him. Yeah. But I don't know, I hate watching shows where they build up a love interest and then they rip one of the love interests out. That's what turned me off of Transformers. Is Megan Fox had to say I love you to Shia LaBeouf, and then they yanked Megan Fox out because obviously off the movie issues happened. Well, then you throw a new girl in, we're just going to carry on the chemistry. It's I spent half this movie rooting on their love story. I don't wait for that. So, all right. Well, before we roll into soapboxes and all that fun stuff, we're going to go out, I guess, and say follow, subscribe, and keep an eye out for a new Facebook page. It will be harder to build this one up, so we are going to count on y'all to help add your friends, because I don't have my 3,000 following on Facebook anymore. So it's going to be... Building up a new page is going to take some effort. It's going to take some legwork. So, hey, if you do take the time to watch us, look us up on the page. We'll probably build it as a group this time instead of a business page.
I mean, that might be the easier way to go about it because then you should be able to give dual admin access.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would.
So then we'll probably make a group out of it where people can come and go. It'll probably be the same name, Buck and Mike Experience. So with that said, I guess we'll say bam out.